just as I was saying, we shouldn't see this session as a lecture that you are coming to watch someone lecture, then you go away. No, it's a session where we all come and discuss. So I expect each and every one of us to talk, pass comments, ask questions, share your suggestions, explain concepts to people. Okay, so to help us do that, and let's see our agenda for today. Then also, so our agenda for today, I'm going to pass around a short motivation, about 15 minutes of our time to motivate ourselves on how to go about things in this program. Then we'll start the actual agenda for the day, which is learning about conditionals and loops. Right. So with our motivation, the very first one I want to share with us is that this is per observation and per my experience. It's easy to be discouraged. Okay, but I'm telling you today that don't be discouraged by the progress of others. Why is it easy to be discouraged? The fact that you started a program with a lot of people, then it looks like every other person is doing way better, or they are sharing things that you know nothing about. Like you sit in their midst and you feel like you are lost. Like these people are talking about things that you haven't even heard of before. That can easily discourage you. But today I want to encourage you that let's not that discourage you. Rather, let it motivate you. The fact that you started with people and they are going or they are able to do things, it should tell you that a time will come that you also be able to do such great things. Okay, that should be your motivation. Don't be discouraged. The reason why it is so is because we all don't absorb concepts at the same rate. Please understand that. We all don't absorb concepts at the same rate. We all don't have the same amount of time dedicated to this program. Someone is spending all his time learning about the things that we are learning. Others too have previous experiences, okay? So all that it is expected of you is to make these things encourage you rather. That, hey, there's room for improvement. I can do better. I need to keep going. I need to learn more. Then also, when you see people doing well, it's also an opportunity for you to tap into their knowledge. If they are sharing things that you don't know, it's an opportunity to reach out to them. How did you do this? I want to understand this. Okay. So let it not discourage us, rather let it motivate us. The second one is don't be in a haste to go learn something new. And that's also a very important point to note. Don't be in a haste. So some of you have seen a lot of resources around. You see, okay, there is this thing. You want to be up and going quickly. So today you started reading about this concept. Maybe you started reading about variables. The next day you jump to arrays. You are now at functions. In fact, you finish the whole C programming course in 3 days because you keep jumping to go and see, okay, what is next? What is next? What is next? Okay, so don't fall into that rabbit hole. It's not the best place to find yourself. The important thing is that you should understand the basis. Everything that we are going to learn, it is the basis that we are going to build upon. Okay, so if you don't understand the concept of variables, don't jump yourself and go and learn about arrays. Okay, take your time, understand what variables are. Take your time, understand how to implement a simple statement in C programming or any other programming language that you are learning. The basis is very important. If you don't learn it very well and you jump, eventually it's going to affect you. And you realize that you have to spend extra time coming back to revise your basis all the time. So I plead with you to spend a lot of time on the basis. In fact, all the extra things that we'll be learning are just add-ons to the basis, and it is a basis that we need to understand. And when you understand it, you can easily learn any other programming language at all. As for the syntax specific stuff, it is not so important than understanding the concept of the programming language. So keep that in mind. let's solidify our basis. Then the third one is don't hesitate to share what you know with others. All right, so don't feel intimidated by sharing your knowledge. If somebody posts something, a challenge like they are facing, okay, a problem they are facing in a group or wherever, if the person DMs you, don't hesitate to share what you know with them. All right, it's very important because you get to learn more by sharing. You learn more by sharing. By teaching others, you get more understanding. So that is how come when we learned, what was that framework called? Is it a Fairman's framework or something? Yes, I think so. The Fairman's framework or something. So we learn about how important it is to try and explain things to others. Okay, let's do our best to do that. I personally can testify of it because since I started writing the blogs explaining some of these things, I get to understand it better because if I don't understand it, I won't be able to write it in a way that you who get to read it understands it. Right, and just as you learn, you should be able to understand enough to explain it to the layperson. So your colleagues are there for you to explain things to all the time. People are always complaining in the group. Don't expect like some category of people to come and answer that, oh, as for this person, we know that he knows a lot, so let's wait for this person to come and answer. No, just jump into it and also answer whenever there is need to. Then that brings me to this point, say don't be afraid to make mistakes. So the reason why a lot of us wouldn't want to jump to answer the questions is because we are not confident enough about what we know. I don't know whether what I know is the right thing. What if I go and say is rather wrong and people start laughing at me or making fun of me? No, no, no. Actually, the group is supposed to be a non-judgmental group. Nobody should come and judge anybody based on a mistake they made. You actually learn a lot from the mistakes you make than even from the right things. I can tell you for a fact that if right now that we are training to become software engineers, if somebody goes through the program and is able to go through correctly such that he doesn't make any mistake at all, let's say throughout all the project, no mistakes, and you keep making mistakes all the time, but you consistently learn how to overcome those mistakes, how to solve those problems, I bet you that you are going to become a better software engineer than the other person who didn't face them. Why? The reason is that on the job, we are prone to making a lot of mistakes. In fact, mistakes are just common. Every single day you find developers, engineers on Stack Overflow trying to find solutions to problems they are facing for the first time. So if somebody has not faced those problems before, the first time they face it, they are going to be frustrated. But you, luckily for you, have gone through all those challenges. You faced all those problems, solved them at the end of the day. Solving it must not necessarily mean you alone, like thinking about it and coming up with a solution. It could be consulting others for a solution, asking them, understanding it. The essence is that you made a mistake, you spotted why that mistake, then you're able to correct it. Now you've learned something new, how to correct such a problem, so that anytime you meet that problem, you should be able to solve it. Okay, and that makes you a better developer. So let's keep that in mind. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And finally, also know that it takes time. It takes time for us to be great developers. It takes time for us to be great software engineers, but it requires consistency. Okay, so don't be here today, tomorrow you are nowhere to be found, then you come off some other day. No, consistently keep practicing, and we will get better at it. I want to go back to this point too, that I mentioned don't hesitate to share what you know with others. And I also mentioned that the reason why people don't share is because they usually are afraid of what people will say or think about them. If you are in this group, please, it is a no judgment zone. So I want to iterate that point again. It is a no judgment zone. No question is a silly question. No matter how basic the question is, it is not a silly question. Don't ever laugh at anybody for asking a question, please. All right, thank you all. That is the end of our 15 minutes motivation. Now we can start our day's tasks. Okay. So I shared a link to the, how is it called? Replets. And I hope that we have already signed up. If you are here and you haven't joined the Replets, the link was published in the Telegram group as well as the WhatsApp group. So kindly, yes, I think there's it.
Please, can you resend the link again on the Telegram group, please?
Okay, sure. All right. I'm coming. Let me get the link. So for those who do not know about Replit, I think Smith and myself tested it out after our last PLD session, and we realized that we could use it for pair programming. So all of us could be on it programming at the same time, and that's what we want to do right now. So someone is complaining of not hearing me. I hope the rest can hear.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can also hear you. Then this person should check his network. Okay, good. So today we are learning about conditionals and loops. Before we get onto the board to work, what I need us to understand is that everything we are doing in programming is actually not abstract. And you should get that. Let that sink. It is not abstract. A lot of us think that it is abstract. Like this is something I just have to come and learn for the purpose of the program. It's not like I say it's not abstract because it is something that we do on the daily basis. On a daily basis, we keep using these concepts. Okay, so when we talk about conditionals, these are things that we do. You always take decisions as an individual. You decided to come here at this point in time. You could have decided to do something else. Okay, when you were joining, you decided that, okay, let me use my laptop. Others decided that, let me use my phone. And you base that decision on a particular condition. You base that decision, okay, right now where I am, I can't use my laptop, so let me use my phone. Check if I can use my laptop right now. You saw that you can't use your laptop, so you are going to use your phone. Check if your phone has enough battery. You checked and you saw that your phone does not have enough battery, so you decided to put it on charge. So we make decisions based on certain conditions all the time, and we want to put that capability into our program. The program that we are going to write, we want to put that capability into the program. Please, I've seen that we started experimenting with it, but we would have to lay down some rules and regulations concerning it so that when we are doing it, it is when you are called upon to code inside that you code. Otherwise, it would be affecting each other. Okay, so back to our conditionals. Without the computer itself has no ability to think. Remember, it can process, but thinking on its own isn't an ability the computer has. So what you, the programmer, will do is that you give your computer the ability to think. And before this artificial intelligence thing came up, you, the programmer, has to give every thinking ability, like everything. The computer cannot think on its own. So provide the computer with every step. When something like this happens, what should you do? When this happens, what should you do? So all the decisions the computer is going to ever make, it is based on you, the programmer. So now when you switch on your computer, you click a button. When you click your button, the computer turns on. It is a programmer who wrote a program that says that, hey, computer, anytime somebody clicks on this button, turn on. And what does turn on mean? The programmer wrote something to mean what turn on means. If you save an item on your computer, what happens? When you click this button, you click that save. Every step that the computer does is something the programmer has explicitly told it to do. So you are the brain behind whatever program that you write. And you can only do that with the help of these conditional statements. You are going to give your computer the ability, or your program the ability to think. For that matter, you have to write these conditional statements. And based on those conditional statements, when they are met, your program is going to take certain decisions, okay? So that brings us to the topic of if statements. If statements. And I've been using if in my statement a lot, especially when I was citing the examples, that you check if your phone had enough battery for the meeting. You checked if your internet was stable enough for the meeting. And if it was not, you won't join the meeting. Okay? So you based the if condition. You used if in your daily life. Every decision you make, in fact, almost everything you do, there is more of an if statement there, if condition there. So we are going to bring that ability into our program. The rest who are joining, you are all welcome. Big Man Gesto, you're welcome. So let's, in our bid to understand the if statement, we are going to try and solve the assignment that we were given last week. Hey, was it last week? Last 2 days during our PLD session. So I'm going to delete this. And as I said, once we get into it right now, please do not type in it unless you've been asked to type in it. And if you haven't joined, to kindly sign up and join, so that when you are asked, we want it to be a practical session. I'm not going to do much of it. I'm just going to write the questions, try and explain, then someone else will continue. That's how we are going to do it. So for now, I can see only 3 people are here. The rest, where are you? Only 3 people are here.
I've posted the link into the Telegram group. You can check it in case.
Please, how do you know the people that are on the link, like that has clicked on the link, that has joined the link? Maybe you can.
Currently, I can see Haruna. I can see Haruna here. I can see Oyo. I can see Olurunda. Please forgive me for butchering the names. Yes. So, okay. So there are there are people who have signed up, but they are offline. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's start. So, what we are interested in right now, please, because we are still at ALS and we are doing the ALS stuff, remember that Auntie Betty is following us here. Okay, so even though we are not going to be checking for Betty Styles and Betty Dogs, just remember that we have to implement that. Okay, so we'll start by having the basic structure of our C program. So last meeting we talked about the basic structure of our C program, and this is how it looks like. You always have to introduce your preprocessor files. Yeah, Big Man Jesu. You're welcome.
You see me online because
yes, you are online. We can see. As in the your background is very noisy.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So for now, let's just get started with these things. Okay. So as I'm saying, with the basic structure of the C program, you need to have this, that is declaring your header files, or what we call the preprocessor files, the files that the preprocessing will take into consideration. Okay, then we need to introduce our main function. Very, very important. Our main function. because when we are going to compile this program, it's going to look for a main function. If you don't have one, then there is a problem. So that's the basic structure. But Antibeti documentation says that we should write our compulsory comments, and the comments should be in this form. Okay, so here main, so anything you want to write about main here, then description, whatever you want your description to be here, then your return, what are you returning with this your main function. Okay, so we'll be returning 0. Then let's close this. I hope by now everyone can do this part, because it's like the basic part that Betty wants you to do. So every time that we are solving a task in ALX and it has to do with writing C program, this basic structure should be there. So if you don't know anything at all, just remember that you'd have to always have a basic structure like this. Very important. And in fact, there has to be one last thing. There should be a return statement here. So return, usually you return 0. So you can return it like this. Once you have this, you have gotten a basic structure of your C program. Now, let's go and describe our question. So the main is solving our assignment. Then what was the assignment? Yes, what was the assignment? Someone should just remind us of it. Yes, quickly. Unmute yourself, remind us of the assignment, and let's go on.
Yeah, the assignment is about developing a program, creating a program that describes the scores of a particular school.
Okay. Okay, so a school grading system.
We're given
we want
variables. Yeah.
All right. So quickly, if you can help us with the scores, we said 80 to 100, right?
100
equal to A. Okay, then what's 70 to 79 would be B. Then what other thing? It was 65, right? 65 to 69 was going to be C. I hope I'm getting it right.
Yeah.
Then 60 to 65 or 64 was going to be D. Okay. Then we had 50 to 59. 50 to 59 was E. Then we also had below 40 or 40 and below. 40 and below. Hey, so it should be 50 and below, rather.
Sorry.
Yes.
Please, which project has, are you solving? Like, which project has this instructions?
Okay, so last 2 days we had a PLD session, and that's where we gave this assignment. The link to the assignment is in the Telegram group. So once you are done, you can always get it. Okay. All right, sure. So below 50 it was F. All right. So at least this describes it. This is why Antibeti is worrying our lives. Okay. At least if I take this program that I've written right now, even though it is a bare minimum, it gives me a fair idea of whatever the code I've written here is supposed to do. Okay, so 12 years from now, if I come back to this program that I wrote, I should still understand why I wrote it. I don't need to go and get the question, the link to the question before I come and see, oh, okay, this was a solution to this problem. right in here, I can see the description is a program for a school grading system. Then there's the grading system that we've been given. So basically what we are saying is that you develop a system that will grade students based on what they score. And we've given you the grading system the school uses. We have A, B, C, D, E, and F. So we are going to use the if statement for now to solve this problem. And let's see. Please, I hope everyone can hear me, because I'm going to be calling at random. When I call you, you respond. When I call you, you respond. All right, so the first thing to do as a programmer, when you are given a problem, the first thing to do is to come up with an algorithm to solve the problem. What way can we solve this problem? So let's discuss one first. How can we solve the problem that we've been given right now? Yes, anyone? What do you think?
All right, we declare a variable.
Okay. I don't want you to go step by step. I don't want you to go step by step. So you continue. Just talk. Let's listen to you. Then the others too will share their opinions on that. Okay.
Okay, I just
so continue.
Declare a variable. Then
okay.
we try to describe. We try to describe the in a way that the computer can understand. That's
so see what I mean by coming up with an algorithm is that simply just ask yourself, if you are the human being, not about your programming or your writing, if you are the human being and you've been given such a problem, how are you going to solve it? Or what ways are you going to arrive at that? Okay, students, let's say student A scored 70, and the teacher wants to know what is the score, what is the grade of student A. How will you determine that?
Okay, I feel since we already outlined the scores,
okay,
you understand, we can the scores are already outlined from the. I don't know how to explain what I have in mind, but I feel since we already outlined the scores, we can only interpret what we've outlined already.
Okay.
By saying, okay, this particular thing falls in between, this particular description, this particular bracket. Like, okay, 70 falls in between. Is not up to 100 and is not
I think we've lost you there. All right, are you back, Smith? All right, so from what Smith is saying, yes, go ahead.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. For me, what I'll do is, since I already know the grading system from 70 is A, I will check what the scores. So what did the student score? If he scored 70, I will give him a pass mark of A. So if the student scores 70, give him A.
Okay.
If he scored 80, give him the grade of 80.
All right, great. So what we are doing here is, you say you should check all the scores, and if, that's very important, the keyword there is if. Please let me say this before I continue. This conditional statement we are learning is in every programming language. So it's very important. Understand it. Once you understand how to implement these, when you move on to any other programming language or tech stack, you are not going to find yourself wanting. So very important. But even in our normal conversation, we keep using it. It says, I'll check all the scores. And if the score is within this range, then I'll do this. Okay, so two things that we have done here. We go through it. We are going to go through pardon me for these things, and go through the list of grades that we've been given, or the ranges that we've been given. Then we are checking if, so check if a particular condition was met. So what we are interested in for student A is, let's check where student A's result falls. So if it falls within this, already we've been given various ranges. We have 80 to 100. We have 70 to 79. So the first thing is, we are going to go through all of them. So that's what we have here. We are going to go through and check if yours falls within this. So even though I've been told student A got 70 and I know these ranges, how I go about it is, I start 80 to 100. I go through it. Does the score fall within this range? If not, then let me go on. Does it fall here? Okay, it falls here. What is the grade for this one? Let me print out the grade for this one. So that's what we are doing. We go through the list one after the other, check if a condition is met. And once it is met, we print out an answer. Okay, print out something. Okay, print something. Let me say that. So basically, this is the algorithm that we have developed for solving this problem. We've been given a problem: develop a school grading system for a grading system for a school. You as a programmer shouldn't just jump and start coding. No, think through it. What is the best way to solve this problem? In fact, there are other ways how we can solve the problem. I always say that no two programmers think the same way. How you would approach a problem is different from how I approach a problem. So usually when given a problem, I wouldn't wait for you to submit your answer before I start thinking. Because the moment I see your answer, it will influence my thoughts. Okay, so always when we are given problems to solve, we should always try. This is helping us build our own problem solving skills. So we should help begin to imagine what's the possible solution. How in real life, if you were given this problem, how will you go about it? Once you come up with a method, a way that you would have gone about it to solve it, that is what technically we are calling an algorithm. So algorithm isn't any strange thing. It's just your method that you are going to use to solve the problem that you have. If right now your phone goes off during this meeting, what are you going to do? How are you going to solve that problem? Come up with an algorithm. The algorithm is that, okay, one option, let me just look for my phone's charger, plug it inside and start charging. As soon as it starts charging, let me turn on the phone and try and rejoin the meeting. That is the algorithm I've come up with. Another person can come up with an algorithm and say, okay, once the battery is dead, I just have to switch the battery. So open the back of my phone, remove the battery, bring a newly charged battery and replace it, turn the phone on and join the meeting. That is also another algorithm to solve the same problem. Another person can solve the problem by saying that, okay, this phone of mine has gone off during the meeting. Let me put it on charge and go and get another phone. Now the other phone is already on. So quickly, let me just jump into the meeting. That's also an algorithm to solve that same problem. So you see where I'm going with it. There isn't just one way to solve a problem. In fact, the task that AWS will be giving us isn't having just one solution. And the checker isn't going to look for the step-by-step solution you provide. The checker is looking for the final answers. Like it has specific things that it's looking for. Okay, Betty Styles, that one we know. But at least the output is what is important to the checker. Are you getting the output? Once you are getting the output that it is looking for, it doesn't care how you got it. So keep that in mind. We can develop several algorithms for solving a single problem. All right, now let's go on and make this practical. We know that for this problem, the algorithm we are solving, last 2 days, I mentioned that even though we have these multiple ways of solving a problem, there is always an more efficient way. Okay, so we usually come up with all the possible solutions. When we come up with all the possible solutions, we then pick and choose the most efficient one. So this thing that we are learning how to do right now, PLD, in the company setting as software engineers, we have something we call stand-up meetings. And basically we bring problems. Usually, if you ever watch movies where they show software engineers working, there is this movie, probably you may want to go and watch a series called Silicon Valley. Probably you may go and watch it if you haven't watched it yet. Right? You usually see that people or these programmers will stand by a glass board or a white board and be writing stuff on it. Okay, and that's usually what is done during the stand-up meetings. Basically, the problem. Let's brainstorm. Yes, and usually they allow every individual to come up with their own solution. So write your own. Smith, write your own. Haruna, write your own. Victor, write your own. Where we are, that will compare. Okay, we think this will be better. All right, let's use the idea that Haruna brought up, but let's implement it in the way Smith wanted to implement it. Okay, so all those things are things that happen practically, and therefore we should emulate them. We shouldn't just always be fixated on just one way of solving a problem. But for now, because of time, we'll go with this algorithm that we have developed. So the first thing is for us to go through the list, then check if a condition is met, then we'll print something. Okay, so let's get back into Replit, and let's see. I want to solve this problem. Okay, so is it Oyo? Oyo, you are inside here. I want you to, what do you think? Unmute yourself. Where are you? Oyo, who is that? Who is that? Oh,
Okay.
are
Yeah.
you going? Okay, good, good. All right. So once you are in here, what do you think is the first thing we need to do right now? Looking at the structure that we have, what's the first thing we should do?
I think I made a mistake. Sorry. Just give me a minute.
Okay, sure. All right. Any other person? What's the first thing you think we should do? Yes. Oh, quickly. Please, let's not waste time. Any other person? What's the first thing you think we should do?
Declare a variable.
Okay, so we should declare a variable. How will you call your variable? Yes. Go ahead. How will you call your variable?
My variable n int score.
Using a data
type. Okay, using a data type, declaring a variable. Somebody said we should call the variable m. Okay, so let's call the variable grade for now. Let's call it grade. So I want someone, please unmute yourself when you are not talking. Okay, kindly unmute yourself when you're Brenda, please, there's noise coming from your end, so unmute yourself.
Okay,
because if I mute you from here, you won't be able to unmute yourself. Okay, good. So let's call our variable grade. Anyone who is first to enter Replit right now, just go ahead and declare the variable. Let's see. Quickly, anyone. Once somebody starts typing, every other person should stop. Okay, I can see someone is in here. Who is that? Yes. Oh, go ahead. Somebody should just declare a variable for us. Okay. Victor, I can see you. So quickly go ahead and declare the variable. So what you realize is that on the web platform that we are using, you can't use tab. Okay. We can't use tab. So take note of that. All right. Thank you, Victor. The variable has been declared. We have grade as the variable. And because we can't use tab, the indentation is some way. But don't worry so much about it. I just corrected that. All right. The variable has been declared. The next thing to do, what's the next thing to do? Yes. What's the next thing to do? Kindly unmute yourself and talk. Let's make it practical.
the next thing he used chat instead of int. Why
So
is he using chat?
okay, so Victor, are you there? A question to you: why did you use char instead of int? Yes. Or anybody wants to? Okay, he's changing his answer to int. So my question to you is: why are you using int? Haruna or Victor, any of you,
I'm
why are you
sorry,
using int?
The int there is because we are dealing with
mistake.
integers,
I supposed
and
to
grades
use
are normally in whole numbers.
Okay, so that's Haruna's submission. Victor, are you saying something? Victor, are you saying something? Okay, so that's why there is a problem here, probably a possible confusion.
yes.
Okay,
Can you
Victor,
hear me?
let me hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you. Go ahead. Oh, you've muted yourself. I think there is a delay at some of your end.
The question
Okay.
again because my service isn't opening.
Yeah.
What was the question again?
Why did you use int? Why did you choose to use int instead of char? I can see there is a huge delay. All right, let's go on. So I think there's a possible confusion here, and that's the main reason why I said that coming up with an algorithm is very
Okay.
important. And usually, after getting the
Can you hear me?
algorithm, yes, Victor, we can hear you.
From the service of the Actually, it's my service. My service isn't cooperating at all.
Okay, you don't worry, just hang on there. All right, thank you. So what I'm talking about is that there's a possible confusion here, and that's the main reason why you need to usually write a pseudocode to help you a pseudocode to help you come up with the best solution. Okay, because we know that we are going to declare a variable. So you just for now let's just write declare a variable, because you'd have to see what at the end of the day, what the variable actually is. What are you going to be storing in there? Last 2 days, I explained that variable is just a container, and you should tell it the type of data or content it is going to contain. Okay, once we declare the variable, the next thing is for us to begin. Well, we are going to begin. How is it? Comparing. So the variable is going to take a value from. Yes. So initialize the variable. Okay, so it depends on how you want your program to be. We can decide that for the purposes of this program, we want our score to already be given. So the score to determine the grade of. So the essence of our program is to determine, we are going to determine the grade. That's the essence of our program. Let's determine the grade. Okay, but to determine the grade, we need a score of the person. So what are we going to do? Are we passing the score to this variable? That's what you should be thinking about. Or are you passing the grade to this variable? So that's the question on board. Answer: is it the grade that you are passing to the variable or the score that you are passing to the variable? Which is which? Yes.
In the scores.
So we are going to pass the score to the variable. And if it is a score that you are passing to the variable, is a score an integer or a char? Is it int or char?
The scores are integers.
Is an integer. So that guides us to determine the data type for our score. Okay. So I think then let's call the variable score rather. So int score. And the next thing to tell is how do we get the value of this variable, this score variable? How do we get the value? So for the purpose of our program, we can decide that we want to assign the variable with the value. So we can say score is equal to 70% or 70. The other way is that we can accept the user's inputs. So accept inputs from the user. So these are two ways how we can do it. Mind you, when they have, let's say the question just asked you to write a program that does this, and they didn't tell you explicitly what to do in there, both of these options will be correct. You can decide to give your value that you want to check, but that also restricts your program. It means that every time you want to run it, don't forget that C is a compiled language. So you would compile your program and give the executable out. So what it means, if you hard code the value into it, what it means is that your user, anytime you want to check for a different score, you would have to recode your program and recompile it and reshare the executable file. Okay, so that is why we want to make it flexible by accepting inputs. But we want to start, first of all, let's start by initializing the value. Go and finish the program, make sure it is running before we start looking at taking users' input. Okay, so instead of grade, I'm changing it to score. Great. Now that we have declared this value variable, let's go ahead and assign the or initialize it. Say this is equal to 70 as I have previously stated. So there's another way that these two can be done. What can be done about these two? Yes. What can we do about those two?
You can say int score equals to 76 semicolon.
Okay, so we can put the declaration and initialization on the same line. Pay attention. We don't like to make our code bulky, okay, because the code is going to read, the program is going to be read from the top to the bottom, and it's going to interpret every single line apart from the comments. So it's best you condense the code as much as you can. All right, so instead of declaring then going ahead to initialize, let's just initialize it together with the declaration. All right, now that this has been achieved, the next thing that we want to do is to check if the score that we have falls within any of the ranges that we have. The score that we have, check if it falls within the ranges. So let's start. Someone to help us do that. How do we check if the score that we have falls within any of the range? So the first person, I want you to check if the score. So this is one way to comment, but Auntie Betty doesn't accept this way of commenting. So let's go Auntie Betty's way. Okay. So check if the score is between 80 and 100. Then print the grade if it is. Okay, so somebody should jump in here and start coding this part. Start coding that part. The comments I just passed, someone should just jump in and start coding that part. Check if the score is between 80 and 100, then print the grade if it is. Yes. Oh, anyone at all, please. People are here, so just jump in. Or you don't know what I'm talking about. If you have questions, like you want to jump in but you don't know what to do, just go ahead and ask your questions.
I have not. I want to jump in, but I don't really know what to type. I don't really know what to do. So
okay, that's fine. So any other person? All right, Brenda, don't worry. We are here to all understand. So we have to know exactly what the problems are. Then we'll tackle them. Okay, so Haruna is trying. Let's see what he comes up with. So as you are trying, I'm going to write the rest of the comments. Just go ahead and type. Okay. So I'm going to be putting in the comments. The next comment is check if it is between 70 and 80. Harina, you're not typing. What's happening? 70 and 79. Okay. Whoever is inside, just go ahead and type. In fact, others of the rest too can jump into the latter ones and type it so that we'll hurry up. Two people are fighting over one right now. Yes. Yes.
I don't know whether my replit is seen over
there. Do I see you here?
I'm typing no.
Just two. I can't see you. I can't see you. Okay. So
I've typed the first one.
Okay.
Ah?
Don't worry. It's because someone too was typing your network. That's fine. So we have some typed already. And all right, let's discuss this one before we continue. What we have here on our screen right now. I hope you all can see what we have. So we have if score is equal to 80, less than equal to 100. If score is equal to 80, less than equal to 100. What is the problem with it? Anyone at all? Do you spot any problem with that? Yes.
If you have an 80 greater than or equals to 100. So let me change it to this one. I think this is the right one.
If you say greater or equal to 100, then it means 100 and above. You have to understand that one. Greater or equal to 100 means 100 and above. Is that what you are looking for?
The first one is correct.
Okay, but
the comma after the 80.
So Brenda is suggesting that we put a comma here. Any other suggestions? Any other suggestions?
Put a semicolon after the printf.
Okay, we should put a semicolon here. Any other suggestion?
Why not use the logical operator and for
Thank
this?
you. So that's
If
what I was
score is
looking
equal
for.
to,
Okay,
if score is
thank you.
equal to 80 and
All right, so let's pay attention to this. I think someone's background. Justo, I think it's coming from your end. Kindly mute yourself. The background noise. All right, thank you. Yes, so what we need to pay attention to here is that you are confusing the program. So if we should go ahead and run this program, let's run it and see. Let's assume we put 81 so that you know that it is within your range and we need it to print something for us. Say run. This thing is tagged. It's tagged and not producing any result for us. Okay. There is a problem with how this has been arranged. Score is equal to 80, less than equal to 100. You can't just put them adjacent to each other and believe that they are together. No. Once there is a space between them, there is no connection between them. In programming, the space here means there's no connection between them. You would have to state the relationship between them. Okay? If I take just this one, it's understandable that we are checking if the score is 80. So if the score is 80, obviously it's not 80. So let's change it. If the score is 81 and see. I hope everything is okay. Okay. What's happening right now? Is there something I'm missing? Kindly pay attention to it. Is there something I'm missing that the program isn't running?
I think after that, there is double space after the if. I was thinking it was supposed to be. Or am I wrong? Check. After the if conditional statement.
Yeah, I've corrected that, but it's still not running. Okay. So what I'll do right now, don't worry. The program is because even if it's not running, it should give us the error. See what we got here. Okay. All right. So as we can see here, I just ran this and we got the score A. Okay. So what we have here makes sense. But the moment you bring, hey, I've even deleted that part. The moment you bring this, there is no connection between this statement. This statement is saying score is equal to 80. That is all. This one here too is a different statement, which you haven't told us what it is. So there has to be a connector between them. And since we are looking for between the two of them, then we can join it with an AND. Okay, so we call something logical operators that we need to learn about. Logical operators. So they help us use logic in our program. The logic we want to use in this particular program is we want to compare if it is 80. Is it equal to 80 or less than or equal to 100? So should it be equal to 80 or should it be something else? Yes. What do you think?
If it's equal and greater than 80,
okay.
And
so
if it has to be, I think greater than should come first. If it's greater and equal to 80,
okay,
and
so
then if it's
greater and
equal to 80,
you see how the expression went. He keeps saying and, so we have to introduce an and to join the statement together. And in programming, this is how we write our and. The two ampersand sound will tell us that end. So what we have done here right now is asking if score is greater or equal to 80. So that's the first thing you are going to check. Please, let me try and explain this thing. With our logical AND, okay, when we use AND in a statement, that statement will only be evaluated if both sides, so this side and this side, if both of them are true. That's the only time that you say the condition has been met. Pay attention to that. So there are two logical operators that we are commonly going to be using. We have the AND and the OR. With the AND, we need statement 1 to be true. Then, please, background noise, it distracts me a lot, sorry. Statement 2 to also be true. We need this both to be true before we can say it is true. If statement 1 is false and statement 2 is true, our AND is still false. Okay, so our condition is only met with an AND. When we are using an AND, it's only met when statement 1 and statement 2 are both true. When you come to the logical R, the condition is met if any one of them is true. If any one is true. That means if both is true to the condition has been met. The only time the OR condition is not met is when both are false. Kindly take note of that. When both are false, this OR condition will not be met. But if any of them is true or both of them are true, then the or condition will be met. So in what the program you are writing right now, we are saying that we should check if the score is greater or equal to 80. So that's the first thing our program will check. Mind you, let me mention this one too. I keep saying that every program reads from top to bottom. Okay, but there is another way to it reads from top to bottom and left to right. So the compiler, the interpreter, whatever you are using, what it's going to do is going to go through your code from the top, one at a time, so one line at a time, and try and understand what you wanted to do and give you the outcome for that very line. If the line doesn't need an outcome, it goes to the next line to implement what is there, goes to the next line. But even though it is going down, 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 it still reads from the left to the right, just as you do your reading. When you are reading normally, unless maybe I think Arabic or so, that you read the opposite direction, but our normal English, so let's take English. When you are reading English, you read from the top to the bottom, and you read from your left to your right. So that's exactly what your program does. So this particular program, when it's reading, will read from here. If then it will start with this and say, okay, that is if 80 the score is greater than 80, greater or equal to 80. So the first thing is going to check, is the score greater or equal to 80? It means that if your score was 70, as we had it initially, your program won't read the rest. It's not going to read the rest because it has found out that it is not. Okay, I can't say that for C. I don't really know. We'll have to test it out. So just take it as an assignment to try. We'll find a way to try it. I'll show you how. Okay, but for most programs, as soon as the first part of the condition, especially because we are using an end, yes, so I think C will also do that. Because we are using an end, as soon as it evaluates this one to false, it wouldn't even bother looking at the next condition. So it wouldn't even come to check if it is less than or equal to 100. No, it will stop right here. As soon as it understands this, checks, okay, score is greater or equal to 70. It checks, no, that is not true. It has jumped. The rest are not important anymore. And this block of code that you wrote here is also not important. So let's forget it. It moves on to the next one. Okay, so let me quickly add the second one. Say the same thing here, but change this to 70 to 79. Let's say that. Okay, 70 to 79. So
the print should be B.
Come again.
The print, the grade, it should be B for the 70 to 79.
Oh, okay, sure. All right. Yeah. So what's going to happen here is this program will start reading from the top. Already it has seen, okay, there's been a declaration of a variable called score. So it has a container called score. Then it goes on, then initialize this container with the value 70. Tries, this one is going to jump because it's comments. It won't do anything about it. Then it begins, if score is greater or equal to 80, and no, so it is not greater or equal to 80, so it will jump to the next one. So we'll use an else if because it's a continuation. Okay, then he will come here and says, okay, else if score is greater or equal to 70, is that a case? Okay, this is true. Once this is true, it's now going to evaluate this one. So assuming we had and score is equal to, or let me say we intentionally wrote a B there. The first part is it evaluated score greater or equal to 70. And if score is less than or equal to B, so now it is not. Once it is not, it will jump and go to the next one. I hope you are getting it. That is how your program executes. So if it finds something that it is like this, okay, my score is within this range, then it's going to print that. It's giving us an error at 22.
Sorry, I think because I can see this second condition. I think the variable should be present before that condition, like score great. The first one, for score greater or equal to 80, and I think score less than equal.
Okay. Yes. So we have to correct that one. Thank you. All right. Let me execute this and see if it works. Great. So we can see it has given us the grade B. Okay. So that's very important. Just as I said earlier, the moment the space came in, they were like two statements on themselves. So we had to join them with an end, and therefore we would have to also introduce this as one statement, a complete statement for that matter. Okay, good. So the implementation here is that if we change this to 81, the program will start here with score is greater or equal to 80, and you found that, okay, yes, it's true. Once it is true, then you go ahead and score is less than or equal to 100. If that is also true, it will go ahead and run and give us the outcome 8. Okay, the next person, C. How do we write C? Somebody should write that for C. Another person should write that for D, and E and F quickly. Now we know how it goes, so we shouldn't spend time on this one at all. Quickly write this for us. Anyone at all, just go ahead and write. I'm providing the comments. This is 65. Oh, no one is coming in. 65 to 69. Then this is 60 to 64. Oh, guys, let's hurry up so that we'll finish fast. That's why we decided to use this one. If you want, I'll go ahead and type it all by myself, if that's what you want. I want you to have a practical feel of it. That's why we're using this platform. Okay? Because we don't have all the time. So at least if about 3 people could be typing in at the same time, it will just speed things up. Anyway. Okay, thank you. Then this one is 50 to 59. Then there will be a last one below 50. Okay. You shouldn't forget your else. So you are still doing else if. Okay. Yes, quickly. The others too, if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask your question for further explanation. Let me also go through it and do a small explanation here. So here we are really not paying much attention to the indentation because we can't use tab on here. But one thing that has caught my attention that I need to mention is this: the use of the curly brackets in the if statement or any of these conditionals or even the loops. Okay, so ideally the structure of the if statement should always be, I think I tried explaining the last time. Let me just write it up here. The structure of the if statement should always be this. Then something like this, or even if it's on the same line, like the elements, we need all of these three things. We need a if, we need this parenthesis, we need this curly brackets. Okay, and from Betty style, we are being told that we should have it this way. Okay, so that is the ideal way you have your if statement, with the else also coming in this way. This is how we expect you to have your if statement. However, there is also a mention of the fact that if it is just one sentence or one conditional statement that you are going to have here, say I'm only going to print one thing right here and nothing more, then if that is the case, I can ignore my curly brackets. Pay attention to that. If you have only one line, then you can ignore the curly brackets. But, and that's where it's very important, but if you ignore this bracket, you shouldn't bring this other bracket because it all makes up the if statement. So if you decide to ignore the curly brackets at one point, then it shouldn't appear at another point. So if you decide to ignore it throughout. And the only time you should ignore the brackets is when each of them, the branches, so either the if or the else if branch or the else branch, if all of them have just one line, that's the only time you can ignore it. So if, for instance, this one too is going to be just one line, then I can go ahead and ignore my, let's say, ignore my curly brackets. The moment I know that this is going to have multiple lines, assuming that it's going to have multiple lines, then it means by form of like being compulsory, we have to introduce our curly brackets. We need to introduce them because one of the branches has more than one sentence or statement. Okay, let's pay attention to that. Very important. Any question on that? If it isn't clear to you, kindly go ahead and ask a question. Otherwise, I'll assume that we all understand that. And for that matter, if we are going to use this curly bracket in our work, then it has to appear for all of them. That is what that means. If you are going to use the curly bracket, then it has to appear for every one of them. Okay. All right. So let's have it here too. Okay, then finally up here, I hope we've done the right thing down here. All right, so else if the score is greater or equal to 0 and score is less than or equal to 50. Okay, so the final one will be an else statement where think one mistake that I've seen people make is that when you get to the else, or usually their last one, they'll just make it else if this. And they'll make it else, then they'll give a condition. The else statement does not take a condition. Please take note of that. The else statement does not take any condition. So we don't have anything like this for the else statement. It's only the else if. Once you get to else, it's like all the conditions are stated above. If none of them pass, then do this. So here, you should also think outside the box. If you are going to ask a user to enter their score, what if the person decides to enter a character instead of an integer? Even though your variable is not going to pick it, but let's assume it manages to pick it, or the person enters a negative number. So let's take that. The person enters a negative number. It's still an integer, and it's going to be put through your work. But you didn't bring up any condition for negative numbers. So then the else statement will cater for that, and we can say that print, we want you to print you entered an invalid score. Okay. I hope that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Come again.
I said it's making sense.
Okay, good. All right. Once this makes sense, let's try and run our program if it will run, or whether we have any issue. So the person had a grade A because we gave it 81. What if the person scored 45? What do we get? Grade E. Why is 45 grade E? Isn't that supposed to be failed? Are we doing the right thing? Okay, so what I am doing right now is troubleshooting a program. Come again.
I think it's fail is from 40 below and below.
Oh, okay, fail was 40 and below. Then it means I did a mistake. Okay, below 40. Oh, okay. So it's right. All right. So I was talking about doing troubleshooting. When you write a program, you have an expectation of the sort of results the program should be giving you. Okay, so you always want to run your program with all those things and see if it produces the right outcome. Because sometimes the logic somewhere, maybe you just tried with one and you're okay, you've published your program, your software is now out there. Somebody goes to use a different value and they are getting errors all over, or it's not giving them the right thing. I think it's Gesto here. Yes, Gesto is here. Recently, Gesto shared with me a case where somebody developed an accounting software. When they put in values, the values were not adding up. You get it? So that happens. You always have to test your program. Okay, you do that. So let's give another number, say 61. 61. Then run it. Is it within the range? Why? It says we've entered an invalid score. Why does it say so? So we don't have anything catering for 61. Is this one not catering for it? Oh, so let's look here. I'm very glad I did this one. See what we have here. Score is greater or equal to 60. So that's what he is doing. He's going to check. Is it greater or equal to 60? Yes, it's greater or equal to 60. Then the next thing it checks, is the score greater or equal to 64? And that is false. Your score is not greater or equal to 64, so it is false. Meaning there is a problem with this part of our code. It should be less than rather. I hope you see what happened. Like, this is very important. If you had not, if we had not made that error, we wouldn't have realized that this is what happens. But usually when you write a program, these errors come up. You may think you have everything under control, you've written the perfect code, but somebody somewhere will use your program and tell you that, oh, your program, there is a problem with it, there is a bug in the program, blah, blah, blah. And this is how you go about it. You troubleshoot your program by putting in some of the values, knowing what to expect. All right, now let's run it and see. It gives us
I have a
grade D.
question.
Yes, go ahead.
What if you're using decimal like 61.57?
Okay.
Is it going to work?
All right, so that is also another thing for us to look at. Unfortunately, we have stated that our how do you call it? Our variable should be an integer. So the moment you pass that 60 point something, is not an integer. It's not an integer, so it's not going to pick it. Or even if it picks it, it will just pick the integer part. Okay. So if we want to make room for the floats or decimals, then we have to make sure that our variable is accepting decimals. Okay, so that will be an assignment for all of us. Now our variable accepts only integers. Let's go and turn the program around. Let us accept floats or doubles, however you want to call it. Okay, so let's do the assignment. It will be very easy to implement. Now, I am guessing that everything is working right and jumping on to something else. I want someone to come in here. Instead of declaring and initializing this value, this time I will want to accept users input. So somebody should quickly jump in, then write the code to accept users input and assign the value the user input into our variable score. Quickly. Who is running it at this time? Stop running it from your end. Stop running it from your end. When we are done, you can have access to the code, then run it anytime you want. Yes. So anyone.
Doc, the question again.
We want, instead of hard coding our value here, okay, this time around we want the user who is running our program to enter their own code. So we want to accept input from the user. How do we accept input? Okay, let's discuss. How do we accept input from users? What function will you use to accept input from users?
Use scanf.
Okay, so we can use scanf for that. For that matter,
What scanf?
yes, so that's also one thing that you should know. Currently, you know printf. Printf prints or outputs the information in the standard output. Okay, so that's what printf does. It gives you all the information in the standard output. Then scanf is used to collect the inputs from the standard inputs. Whatever is coming from standard inputs will be given out by scanf. So I think printer, scanner, that's the concept. The printer will print out something for you. Okay, so it will show you. The scanner will rather scan into the computer. All right, so that's where they are coming from. Printf will print or output it for you. Scanf will scan or input the data for us. Okay, so we need to let me write comment here. Accept user input, or in the first place you tell your user, so tell your user to type their score. So somebody should do that part of the work for us. Just tell your user. So write a code to tell your user that they should type their score. What is your score? So just ask the user to type that. Then the next person would, oh, guys, is it that you can't access the platform? Let me know if there is a problem. Or I should go ahead and type everything myself.
Hello, I'm in the platform, but unfortunately, I'm seeing something different. Prior to this time, I'd already done something, and I'm still seeing that thing.
No, so there should be a different. This is a new replet. So check the link to the new replet. The Yes, so the first replet was the one we used to test, but this is a new one.
Oh, so how can I get the link?
You check the around the check the first mail I was sent around.
Okay, the link in the WhatsApp, right?
No, on Telegram or WhatsApp too. I was
Yeah,
sent
both
around
of them.
1206, 1207.
You the name, I think it should have June 06 something. Yes, the link should have June 06 inside. So replet.com at /June 06 PLD, something like that.
I just forwarded.
Okay, good. So kindly let's check and join. All right. So what I'm saying here is that the next one is accept the users inputs. Oh, nobody did it for me. Oh, guys, why? You guys are disappointing me. Okay, Linus has come in. Linus, quickly go down and do this one, the scan F1. If you can, just do scan F for me. Print F. Okay, that's good. Yes. So we need to delete that one. Thank you. Then, what was your score? What was your score? What was your score? Okay. All right. So those of us who don't know about scanf, let's pay attention here. Let me try and explain it.
Please, can I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
All right, my question is this. Apparently, I've not been really following because there was a serious electrical problem. That was why I left the meeting, the other time. So now I saw that, there has been a lot of printing output and all that without the scanf. So I want to ask, is it possible to have your integers printed without the computer scanning the scores? If at this point, putting scanf into the program.
Yes, so that's what we did. That means that you would have to hard code the score inside. Okay, so you would write your score like initially we wrote 70, then we ran the program, then we change it to 60, then we run the program, then we change it to 30, we run the program. So that is possible. It can be done, but it's not an efficient way. And I explained that with a C program, you need to compile the program into an executable file before any other person can run it. That means after you've written this code for the school, you have already compiled it. And if you are not accepting user input, you have given it just one score, say 70. So they can only check for the grade for 70, number 70, or score 70. Anything outside 70, they can't check. So if you want to give them the flexibility of checking for the grade of any score, then we would have to bring in the option where they are able to type their own score. So the teacher who wants to know, okay, this particular student got 70. What is his score? So the teacher will type 70 into your program. Then he gives the score, he writes it. Next one, yes, this student got this. So that's why, that's the essence.
Okay, which means your initial score would be pre-typed. You have to type in your initial score.
No, you don't necessarily even have to declare initialize it. So initializing of variables are not compulsory.
If you are not using scanf, where are you?
Yes, if you are not using scanf, then you have to initialize your variable. So we can declare initialize it this way.
Okay, score
is equal to 70. We can do that. Or the other way, which I recommend, is don't put it on a different line. Declare and initialize at the same time. So this. Okay, but now we have gone past that stage. Okay. So those of you who do not know how to use scanf, kindly pay attention here. Okay, I'm trying to comment as much as possible so that you understand each of the steps that we have taken here. Okay, please, if you come in here, make sure you don't change anything you're not supposed to change. Okay, I beg. All right, thank you. The scanf. For now, you should just know that scanf takes input from others. Okay, but just like printf, the inputs that you are going to accept, you have to tell scanf explicitly what type of data you are expecting. What type of data are you expecting scanf to take? Okay, then scanf also requires what we call the address of your variable. The address of your variable, we are going to learn about address and pointers later or in subsequent lessons. Okay, so don't worry your head about it so much. Just know that the address is like the location of our variable. The variable you have created, mind you, you created a container to store something. That container is in the memory of your computer. The memory of your computer, but which part of that memory? Which part of the computer's memory is it? It has a specific address. Okay, so currently, let's say my room is the container to contain humans. It has a location. Okay, there is an address to it, and the address is in binary. It is in binary, so it could have been 110001. And you, as a human being, cannot recall these addresses. So what do? Smart programmers decide to bring up a concept called variables, so that instead of remembering that there is something at location 10001, all you need to remember is that there is something called a score. So the score is representing whatever is being stored at location 100. I'm just using an arbitrary value, okay? But you should know it's a binary location address or something, okay? So what we are going to do is that unlike the printf where we just pass the name of the variable, with scanf we rather pass the address of the variable. And the address of the variable I've said is binary, and we can't remember them. So the easiest way to tell your computer that I want to use the address of a variable is to bring the ampersand in front of the variable name. So that is why you see this AND symbol, the ampersand symbol in front of the score. It is telling your computer that it should go to this location, because when it asks, the person will type. When the person types, the information the person types is stored on a specific location in the memory of your computer. And that location, you have decided to call it score. So give the address to scanf, and scanf will just scan that data for you. Okay, so that is exactly what scanf is doing here. The first part with the format specifier, %D, is telling your program that you should only, or scanf to only accept integers or decimals in, not decimal numbers, I beg. I mean decimals in base 10 numbers, base 10 whole numbers. That's what it should accept. So that's exactly what it's doing here. And the moment this line runs, whatever the user typed is kept inside the score container. So now you can go ahead and use score, and it has a value. That value is what the user typed. I hope nothing else is messed up anyway. Let's go ahead and run this program. Hopefully it should ask us to enter a value. So what is your score? That is what it's asking us. Let me say 20 and print F. So you have failed. That is your grade. So this is what the teachers are going to do. Anytime they need to determine the grade or something, they run this your program. What is the score? Then say 65. Okay, it's C. Then you go and write C. I want another one. What is your score? 85. Enter. Then the person got an A. So you have written a program that a school can use to determine their grades. And this program is a dynamic program. Yes, go ahead.
I have a question. Now, if we are to give this code to someone, we can't give the code to someone like this. So how are we going to, do it?
Okay. So I think
You get?
yeah, I get it. No, that's when the first, like when I started learning about programming, I think I started with Python. But this same problem that you are bringing up right now was the reason why I didn't continue learning Python, and I jumped to web development, writing HTML code, because those ones, like these ones, when you write them, you need a console for the console to implement. Okay. Later, when you want to get into software development, whether it's standalone software, you want to do games and the rest, you'll find other libraries that will help you convert these ones into standalone software. That's what you are talking about. Software that you just execute on your computer. You have an interface and somebody can use. Okay, so for now, let's focus on the understanding the basis. That's not what we can't do that one right now. Okay, but eventually you will learn how to do it. All right. Let's not worry so much about it. So far as you are able to implement this, you know that you are writing software, and that is what is most important. I know some of us, when the moment we start like this, we want to at least let people know what we can do. Okay. So right now, what I have discovered is that if like something like this, just go create a blog, write something about it. Your programs, display your programs. So that's the motivation behind the blog that I am currently running. Okay. It's become sort of your resume, the projects that you have done. You have shown the codes that you have written. So I can recommend, let me quickly, those of you who like writing, obviously, even if you don't like writing, you can start learning how to write. Okay, go to this site, hashnode.com, hashnode.com. You can start a blog from there for free. Hashnode. In fact, that's what I'm using right now for the blog that you are seeing. Hashnode. Yes. So go there, and when you write a program, quickly, let me just show you something. If I go to Hashnode right now and go to write, I can decide to write a program for a school grading system in C. Okay, then whatever it is, let me just come and copy the code I have here. Where is the code? Replet. Okay, so let's copy the code in here. Then I'll publish it here. Assume that is all I want. My code is here. Okay, so if I want, I go ahead and write something small about the code, what I taught you, how I implemented it, then I publish it. Eventually, all of these, you can even link this to your GitHub repo. Okay, so eventually, when you are looking for job roles, these are some of the proof of the things that you have done. Okay, so that is just by the way, but you should be able to document, keep records of all the codes you write, all the programs that you write, no matter how small they are. At least with the ALX one, we are pushing to GitHub, so you have access to it. This one's too, you can have your own. Come again, I can't hear you. If you don't like blogging, make sure you have a repo on your.
Okay. What's the name of the link that you posted the link to?
Hashnode.com. Hashnode.
Okay. We have to create an account there.
You can. So it's not a requirement, but you can, especially for those of you who like writing. Okay. If you don't like writing, the alternative is to just link. We can link Replet. Okay. You can link Replet to GitHub. Okay. So you can create a Git repo, then link it. I've not tried it before, but I saw it. The other one is that just go to your GitHub account, create a repo. See, every business that you are going to look for in the near future, they are going to, if it is a tech role, they are going to check your They are going to check your, how do you call it? Hey, sorry, the feedback from just so feedback from your end. Okay, thank you. Yes, so if anything at all, let me come to yeah. So if you check my repo, for instance, these are some of the things. Some of them, they are just practice that I did. Apart from the ALX, this one, for instance, it was practice that I was doing. Okay, so what's going to happen is that your potential employer, this is like the resume they look for. They will come here and come and check, what have you been up to? What have you been doing? Like, do you really know what you say you've been doing? So now that we are creating this project on the side, make sure you have a repo. Probably you create a repo called projects or learning projects, something like that. Otherwise, you can even call this repo whatever you want to call it. Call it C program for grading or grading system. Call it that way and push the code to GitHub so that you always have access to the codes that you've written. The good thing about these things is that even though this is just a small chunk of code that you have written, you may be building a bigger application and you need just this part. Let's say a school management application. The school has asked you to build a management application, which entails a lot of things. But as part of that big project, you still need to code a grading system. And you've already written the code for a grading system. So you have access to it on your GitHub repo. Then you come and pull it and use it. Some of the repos you may have to make private. So you don't necessarily have to make all your repos public. In fact, if you check here, there are repos that I have which are private. These are all public. They should, yes. This is actually a software that we are selling at the moment. So it's public. It is private for that reason. And I always have access to the code. So even if my PC crashes right now, I still have access to that code. Okay. So either you are going the blogging way or you are always documenting your code, no matter how simple it is. In fact, even if the code is not working, push it to GitHub, even if it is not working, because you would have to learn the mistake. Why is it not working? Then you correct it. Yes, Smith, you have any concern?
Yeah, my question is this: how do we push from Replit to GitHub after connecting?
Okay, so I haven't done it before yet, so I can't advise much, but I can see that you can connect your existing GitHub, and I'm sure once you connect it, you should be able to push it from here. But otherwise, the other way that you can do is once you are done, you can download it. So the first one that we did, I downloaded it here. Once I've downloaded it, I can push it. Or I can even upload it directly.
Download it from where, please?
You can download your code. Yes. So once you are in the file section, this three dots up here. When you click on it, you can download as zip. Okay, so always keep records of the files, no matter how small your program is. But at least now we have any questions about this specific program. There is another conditional statement that we need to learn. It is called the switch statement or switch case statement. We are going to use the switch case statement to implement the same code that we have here. So what I need us to understand, it isn't any different from the if statement. It's just a way to summarize our if statement. Okay, so what we are talking about here is switch statement. Switch statement. Okay, it is similar to our if statement. So let's use a common example. What's the first example we did the last time? We did some nationality, right? We did some nationality. Okay, let's use. I don't want to use a range for now, so something that requires single values. Yes. Well, what program would that be? Okay, So yes, let's go with our nationality project that we worked on. We said that, let me use just 2 countries. If you are from Ghana, the value is 10. If you are from Nigeria, the value is 20. So let's use this. We want to check and print something. So with our if statement, we can say if so we would have to declare a variable called nationality. I'm just trying to bring up what we did the last time. Nationality is equal to whatever the user types. Okay, so we are going to check if nationality is equal to 10, then we'll print you are a Ghanaian, right? I hope you get it. I'm just summarizing it. Else, if nationality is equal to 20, print you are Nigerian. Else, print I don't know your country. Not known. Okay, so these statements or these conditionals that we have written in using the if statement. Okay, I want us to use that to learn the switch statement, but I hope we understand the concept of the if statement here. You are just checking what the person types. Okay, if the person types this, what is it equal to this? Now let's use the switch statement. It's basically summarizing the if statement, because when the if statement becomes a lot, it's quite disturbing. You won't see it right now, but you can have a chunk of code. Let's say all these things that we've written could actually be just one block of if statements, and we have to nest in some other if statements, and there has to be a lot more else if conditionals. Okay, so in those instances, we like to use the switch case. And how the switch case comes by is the same thing here, but it's going to be switch. Hey, I've forgotten the format too, but I hope I'm right. Switch nationality. So what you are saying here is that we should check for the nationality. Basically, that's what we are saying. Check for the nationality. Okay, then we discuss what are the cases. So the possible case here is if it is 10. So we say case 10. Simple like that. We are checking if it is equal to 10. We are checking if nationality is equal to 10. So instead of writing all this else if statements, what we are saying is that switch nationality. Case 10, then colon. Print you are Ghanaian, print Ghanaian. Case 20, colon. Print Nigerian. If none of these cases are met, we then use what we call default. So the default is country not known. So that is how we have been able to summarize this program using the switch case. Any questions about the switch statements? So it's just going through it. What are you interested in? So your variable of interest here is nationality. What do we want to compare it with? I want to compare the nationality with case 10, the number 10. So is the nationality 10? That's case 10. If it is, print Ghanaian. If it is 20, print Nigerian. Default, nothing. So we can have as many cases as possible. I can do case 10, case 20, case 30, case 40, case 50, 60, depending on what I am matching. Any questions on that? Now let's go here. I need to download this once more. Okay. Once that is downloaded, okay, what I'll do here is copy this and put it in Programmers. Okay, put it in Programmers. Then we'll go ahead and rewrite this our program. So we want to convert our if statements to the switch case so that at least we all understand how it is done. Basically, what we are interested in, all right, so let's go on. There is something we call ranges in programming, a range. So here, because we are dealing with ranges, we have to use that concept of ranges. In C programming, a range is written in this way. So if I want to say from 80 to 100, I have to write it this way. Do you get it? Yeah. If I want to write from 70 to 79, I write it this way. So we are now going to, instead of using those logical operators, we are rather going to, and I mean the arithmetic operators as well, we are rather going to use the ranges for the switch case. Okay, so we have 80 to 100, 70 to 79, 65 to 69, 60 to 64, 50 to 59, then below 40, so 0 to 49. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are cutting this, and where we see if, now we don't want if, we are rather going to change the if to a switch. Switch. Okay, then pass the range to the switch. Oh, sorry, you don't pass the range to the switch. It's what we are searching for. So what are we searching for? The score. So we just pass the score. Then in the switch statement, our first case will be case, then the range column. Okay, I've actually not tried this before, but I should believe that it's going to work. Oh, did I delete the print? Print F A. Okay, so now we are going to build cases for all the rest. The next one is 70 to 79. All we need is a case. Sorry, I have to delete these things, otherwise it will confuse me. So permit me to delete the if statement. Okay. So for the switch case, we only have we have it in this way. The curly bracket is only one. Oh, that's like it you are wearing. Good. Then case, what we copied, column, print F C. Okay. Case 60 to 64. Print LF C. Case 50 to 59. Print F what? D. Okay. Case. So you see how this has summarized the whole. We had a lot of code when we were dealing with the if else statement, okay, but with the help of the switch case statement, we rather have quite a short one. Go for it. Why you don't want to go for it? This is 0 to 49. 0 to 49. Okay. Then we'll print F. Oh, have I skipped something? Which one is the E? Which one was E? 60 to 64, did you come? Oh, okay. So I skipped 64 to 60, 65 to 69. Then the next one is 60 to 64. Then the next one is 50 to 59. And it should print E. E. And the next one is
Dog.
Yes.
Look at the print G. The reason the quotation is supposed to be the double quote.
Okay. Sure. Okay, so print F. Okay. Then the last bit is default. The default part is actually optional, so you can decide not to add it. Default is print invalid score. Okay. So, guys, do you understand what's happening here? Anyone who is worried about something? Yes. Anyone? Is there anything that you think you need clarification on, so that will help you before we move on? Yes. Okay.
Dog.
Yes.
So this switch is just an alternative to the print F.
No, it's an alternative to if. Smith.
Okay.
Hey, Smith, you cut our work. Anyway, we are not done, so don't worry yourself to copy it right now. Don't worry. We are not done. Yes. Any questions? I want to explain the logic here before I finalize it. So what's going to happen is that what switch does is it comes to check what are we looking for. Okay, now we are looking for score, the score that has been entered. Is it part of the first case? If it is part of the first case, it will print this. Okay, please pay attention to this one. It may be a bit confusing, so that's why I'm drawing your attention to it. Pay attention to it. Unlike the if statement, if this checks and finds out that our score is within this first case, after printing the first one, it will go ahead and print the rest. That is how the switch operates. It's just looking for a match. Once it finds a match, it's going to print every other thing below. So if we pass, let's say the person enters score 70, the first thing it will do is check the case, the first case, and it doesn't fall within the first case. Once it doesn't fall within the first case, what is it? Hey, I'm not even sure if this should be in a bracket or not, but you will implement it and see. If it gives us the error, then I'll correct it. Probably it should be in a bracket.
Excuse me. He did not put
Yes.
a semicolon at this scanf.
Scanf. Scanf. Oh, okay. Scanf. Okay, sure. All right, thank you. Okay, for now, I'm not sure whether they should take, but you will correct that one. Let me explain the logic here. With a switch statement, it goes through the first case and compare. Is it correct? If it is not correct, then you will jump to the next case, compare. Is it correct? If not, go to the next one. But the moment it finds a match, it stops running and it prints every other thing, like everything that is supposed to be done. So if I pass a score of, say, 40 is only this place. So what it's going to do is it's going to print F and print invalid score as well. Let's try running this. I hope it runs. Okay, so it's giving us, I think we should put this in brackets, hopefully, if that's what. I hope this works. I've not implemented with a range before. Usually it's just one value that we put, but I hope it works. So you should also know that some of these things is not, you're not always going to be in the known or remember exactly how it is done. And you should be able to always search online and see how something is supposed to be done. It's still giving me errors. Let me remove the ranges. You know what we are going to do? We are just going to use the first values for now. Okay. And once we are done with that, I'll figure out a way to do that. So what it's going to do here is it's just going to search for the first figures that we are given it, okay? Whether the score matches it. Let's see. I'll find out about the range. We will do that. Okay, so now let's run it and see. What is my score? 20. 20 is not in there, so let's go with 50. It says invalid score. Why invalid score? Okay, sorry. The 50 is here, then the invalid score. So see, the 50 that we printed, I've forgotten. We are not using the next line. Sorry. This thing wanted to surprise me. Okay, so let's run it again. I want you to see something.
Mr. Smith, please off your mic.
Yeah, Big Man Smith, there is feedback from your end. So, okay. What is happening here is that it's going to check the score. Is the score 80? If not, jump to the next one. Is it 70? If not, jump to the next one. Is it 65? If not, jump to the next one. Is it 60? But it got here and it found that it's 50. So it went ahead to execute this block of code. However, as I said earlier, with the switch case, as soon as it gets it stopped checking. It was going to print the rest. So it's going to evaluate the last one too. That's how come it printed invalid score. So if now I run it again and I choose 60, if I choose 60, what do you think is going to happen? 60 is here. So it will find the match here. Once it finds the match, it's going to execute this, and execute this, then this. So we are going to have D, E, F, and invalid score. Let's go ahead and run it and see. So you see D, E, invalid score. F is also here. Oh, yes, F is also there. Let me run this again. So somebody should unmute and guide me. If I put 70, what is the outcome I'm supposed to expect? If I put 70, anyone at all?
When you put 7,
invalid score.
Okay, Smith.
I think it should be 70 C, D, E, F.
Okay, so
right.
when we put the 70th grade is B, so we'll get B, C, D, E, F, invalid score. So all of the rest will be printed. I hope you are getting the gist, like what that means. Once you've been able to answer correctly, then you understand. So how do we prevent this? We prevent it with what we call a break statement or a break command. So when you do this, you put a break here, just like that. This tells the program that if you find the case to be 80, break out of this series of conditions. Don't pursue the rest. Don't go and execute them. So in the same way, you have to put break for each of them. Break. Make sure you break each of them. If you don't break it, your program will respond, but it will print all the subsequent ones as well. So break is one key keyword that we can use. There are times that there is the opposite of break, which is continue. So there are times that you want to check for something, and if it finds it, you want it to continue. So instead of break, you use continue. Okay, but most commonly it is break that we'll be using. So let's break the rest of logic. Go ahead and break this one as well. Break everything. If you don't break any one of them, it will run the rest. As for the default, the break is optional, but it doesn't spoil anything to go and break it. Okay, so now let's run it again, and provided it's 70 to C. This thing is not running. What problem have I caused? Okay, so I think it's usually not running when someone else is coding in there. Okay, so 70. Now hit enter. See, it gave us only the B. So this is the option, the alternative to what we have done with the other program. If I go ahead and run this again and choose something that isn't part of the case, say 55, and hit enter, it says invalid score. Okay, so I have to find out how we can use the range. But quickly, if any of you has a concern, kindly help me. Bring your concern. Let me try and help you. Well, whatever it is, let me see this. 18. Still. Okay, yes. Anyone with a question? Anyone with a question?
My question actually is
Yeah.
It's not regarding the. I know I'm going to get this switch statements. I reached out to you earlier this morning regarding the last task. I think that was, to me it seems like a nested loop. I don't know if we're going to touch that today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we'll have to talk about.
Yeah, so I was actually surprised that how you got your answer, so to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So loops are the next set of topics that we are going to discuss, and we'll talk about it. Even for the conditional statement that we are looking at, any of them can also be nested. Okay, so I'll try and explain it here. I'm coming. I'm trying to find out why the range is not working. Oh, I think it should be 3 dots rather. I've been using 2 all this while. Smith, kindly wait for us small. Wait for us small. Let's figure this thing out, okay? When we
before you change everything.
I know, right? Anyway, let's try this once more and see. Oh, let me try it once more. Correct. See me. Oh. This thing is 3 dots. I've been using 2 dots all this while. Come on. So that was the reason why it wasn't working. Okay.
We are learning.
So
we are learning.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how we learn. In fact.
Doctor.
Yes, boss.
Have you changed it to 3 dots? Because I was seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, I've changed it to 3 dots now. I'm changing them to 3 dots now.
Uh-huh.
1, 2, 3.
I was seeing 2 dots. And then the break, there should be a break. Is it there?
Yeah. We've added a break.
Okay.
So,
All right.
as for the break, it was intentional. I wanted to explain that concept. That's why. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. So, for those of you who do not know, just told the man that I just spoke with is my senior man. In fact, he's one of the people who introduced me to programming. Case 0 to 49. Yes. So I hope now we are able to put in any score and get it. Let's start. Okay, what my score? 25. F, correct. So this is a full replacement for the if statement that we use to solve the problem. Okay, using the switch case 1. Does anyone have any concern about it? Then we take a look at nested conditions. Any concerns about it? Those of you who want to copy, you can go ahead and copy. So let me download this once more. What I can also do, sorry, Israel, I'm coming in. What I can also do is that I can create a public repo for our PLD sessions so that all the codes that we write, we'll put it there. And anytime you want, you just go and clone or fork it. Okay, I think that will be easier. So I'll try and do that. For now, let me post the thing here. Yes, Israel or the other Dara. Is it Dara? Hey, sorry, me, I'm not good with names, and that's bad. Yes, whoever has muted.
I wanted to say, like, you after downloading them, you can drop them for us on Telegram. But you've mentioned creating a group for our PLD, so I think that's better. We'll
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all right, I'll do that. So I use the GitHub. All right, so now we have a solution to this problem. There is an assignment on board for us. The assignment is using the similar case. We are going to use the if statement to solve it, and we are also going to use the switch case to solve it. Okay, the same principles that we did here. So let's solve it and see how it goes. Okay. Yes. Someone's talking. Yeah, Brenda.
Yeah, please, sorry. I was distracted a little bit because I'm at work. So I'm doing work and I'm also listening to the class. So,
okay. That's fine.
The place where you use break, what's the function of that break?
Okay, and so I tried to.
Okay. I saw you correcting 3 dots, changing from 2 dots to 3 dots. What's the function too?
Okay, sure. So the 3 dots is just a way of saying it is a range in C programming. So if you want to say a range between this, I think, like if I say A to Z, okay, the way of saying A to Z in programming is by using A, then 3 dots Z. That tells the program that it should go through, like there are members. In fact, I think we use this in our normal life. You can decide to write A, B, C, then you put 3 dots here. We all understand. If you write something like this, I know that there is a continuation. Okay, the series continues. So that's exactly what is being done here. But in C, we just give the starting point and the ending point. So if I do A to C, what I'm telling my system is that I need you to pick that range A, B, C, end at C. Start at A, end at C. So what I've done here, 83.100 is telling the system that start at 80 and count up to 100. That's what it is doing. Then with the break statement, I explained that switch is such that anytime it finds a match, it keeps on printing the rest, like it does the work for the rest. It's only looking for a match. As soon as it finds a match, every other thing is going to be implemented, because it will not go again to go and check them. Okay, it will not go again to go and check them whether they meet or they don't meet the condition. So just assume that they all meet the condition. So far as it has found a match, it means every other thing meets the condition. That is the purpose of switch. Switch is go through them. When you find a match, it means that you have found it. The rest of them, they match. That's how it understands it. But unfortunately, that's not what we want. So we use the break statement to tell switch that as soon as you find a match, break out of this conditional statement. We don't want you to implement any other thing again. So as soon as you find a match, break out. Stop executing. As soon as you find a match, that is all we have asked you to do. So jump. We don't want you here again. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Okay, I was going to do something. The assignment is so new docs.new, so that I can share the link to the assignment. There's this popular tool that we use, BMI calculator. If any of you have come across something like that in C. So iKrate subgroup PLD assignment 2. So we are going to develop a BMI calculator in C. All these programs that we are developing, the reason why we are going to keep record of them, and that's why I was suggesting we create a public repo and keep in. When we go to any other language, we'll try and implement it. Okay, and when we learn about new things too, we'll try and come and update our program with the new concepts that we learn. So for instance, we started with if and we built it with if. After learning switch, we now went ahead to build it with switch. Okay, so now our assignment is to build a BMI calculator. And basically what a BMI calculator does is that it takes your height. Okay, so for now, let's use height in kilo. Hey, what is this? Height in meters, sorry. Then weight in kilometers. Okay, for the purposes of, hey, what am I talking about? In kilograms. Don't mind me. So height in meters, weight in kilograms. It takes that and it finds the BMI. The BMI is equal to the weight divided by the square of the height. So we'll have height times height. This means that your unit for BMI will be kilogram per meter square. Okay, something like that. So your duty now is that this hospital or doctor has approached you that he needs a software that he can be using to calculate the BMI of his patients. So you are to develop a program in C. For calculating the BMI of the patients. Okay, this time around we've learned how to use scanf. So you have to accept the input. Don't hard code the input in there. You have to accept the input. Then also remember that there is some arithmetical calculations in there. So you have to implement that to find the BMI. Then when you get the BMI score, we have just as we had for the grades. So there is this index, the BMI index for us. And basically when BMI, so let me use a table, insert a table and explain the score and their meaning. So we have BMI score and meaning or interpretation. Okay, so when the score is less than, because we are dealing with integers, I'm going to use whole numbers. So less than 18, the person is underweight. If it is between 18 and 25, 18 and 25, the person has normal weight. So you too, you can go and check yours and see where you fall. Between 26 and 29, the person is overweight. So all right, I know what to do. I'm going to do something. Then above, or let me say 30 and above, is obesity. Okay, so I need you to write A. This is question 1A. Hey, if I become a programming lecturer, this is how I'll be setting questions for people. Let's see. A, using the if statement, write your program to accept inputs from the user and print out the interpretation of the user's BMI. In the same way to question B part of this question says using the switch statement. Using the switch statement, do the same thing. Then, in order to cater for what we are just about to learn, so this is one. In order to cater for what we are just about to learn, I'm going to add something that expects a nested condition. Okay, so 2 is this same program, this same question, but we are going to add something. What we are going to add is that for the 30 and above, even though it is obesity, there are different classes of obesity. So from 30 to 34 is known as class 1 obesity. Then from 35 to 39 is known as class 1 didn't come, sorry, class 1 obesity. 35 to 39 is known as class 2 obesity. Then we have above, or let's say 40 and above. In fact, these are programs that you can write and put on the internet if you want. Okay, so that's why I don't like to just pick any question at all. I want them to be practical, so that when you do it, you know that, oh, I've built this program. You can say, oh, now I've built a grading system, a school grading system. So I've built a BMI calculator. Then we'll build another program. So for now, this is class 3 obesity. Okay. So Israel, your question, this is where we'll implement some form of nested conditionals. Okay. We haven't yet talked about loops, so we are still with our conditional statement. Decision making. There, let me quickly share a link to this assignment. Please, if you can, try and do the assignments before the close of tomorrow, if you can. The reason being that tomorrow we'll start another set of rush work at ALS, you know. So we have to try and finish these things so that when we start those ones, we're able to do it. But if you can't do it now, so don't kill yourself. And I always say that you should think through the work before you finally sit down to program. So even if you're at work, you're on the road, wherever you find yourself, you can always think through it. Sorry, I should have written something. PLD assignments. BMI calculator. Okay. So that if people will remember what that is. Assignment. Okay. So, sorry. All right. So I've shared the link in the group. We can do that. But let me quickly explain the concept of. I think I'm getting tired. Let me quickly explain the concept of nested conditionals. Then we'll check. So with nested conditionals, I will if statements rather. Okay, so let me copy this. Open another program is no program is okay. Good.
Sorry, what's the name of that website again? The other website, code
is it
something.
replay? Which one?
No. Where you pasted the stuff?
This one. Program is.
No, not program. The other one.
Hash node.
Program
this one.
I think it's the hash something.
Hash node.
Okay.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Sorry.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
In the VMI calculator, the question 2, you can see I have 30 and above. It to be in obesity, and below that one, 30 to 34 class 1 obesity.
No worry.
So assuming
no worry,
let's say
relax,
someone
relax,
is weighing.
relax. No worry, relax. that's what I'm coming to teach right now. So I added it because Israel asked the question about it. Yeah, so I'm about to teach that one. Don't kill yourself, okay? We beg. All right. So I want to get the if statement to explain that thing. Okay. So let's get the if statement into repo. Okay, good. So what happened to our code? Okay. I hope this one works. Let's run it and see if it works. Okay, good. All right. Let me come up with something on the fly. So nested means that you have something, and let's say one block or one branch of the if statement or else if statement, there is another condition in there. Okay, so in this our grading system, the school now comes on to tell you, I wish I could get to the first assignment. The school now comes to tell you that for those who score A, okay, for those who score A, they want to be able to distinguish extension from excellent. That extension is anybody who scores 95 and above. Then excellent is anything below 95. Let's assume that, okay, we have something like that. Let me see if our assignment is here. Where is okay? Yes, this one. Okay, so now you've been told that anybody who gets 95 and above gets a distinction. Okay, whilst 80 and above gets, so let's try and implement this one. Then now we can implement any complex one. I think that's why Israel was complaining. The work that we were given, the task 12, there was a complex how do you call it, nesting over there. And if you don't really get the concept of nesting, you get yourself confused over that. All right, 95 and above gets a distinction, 80 and above gets. The first thing you should know is that already you know that there is a range 80 to 100. The person gets an A. So it means that this thing that we are going to check, I can't be checking it for these people. Let me go back to my code. I want to check if the person had a distinction or the person had excellent. I can't come here and say I'm checking it within this block of code because this is nowhere near the 80. So the first thing is that this first condition, the if condition here, needs to be met. And once this if condition is met, I go ahead and start another if condition in here. So that is the concept of nesting. An if statement within an if statement, a switch statement within a switch statement, a while loop within a while loop, an if statement within a while loop, an if statement within a for loop within a while loop. So we can have nested, like you have a lot of nesting. And I told you that prior to artificial intelligence, everything your program does is you telling it. So you can go deep. It's like telling you, okay, if you want to travel out of the country, let me not even go there, but I'm hoping that you get the concept. Okay, so this if statement, we need to meet this one first. When we meet this one, we then go and check, is our score greater than 95? So I can say score, if score is greater or equal to 95, then I want to do something else. I want to say this person got distinction. So print you got distinction. Let me say so. Okay, I can also go ahead and say else. Else, okay, let's just use else. Else means that if they didn't get the first one above, then print if you got excellent. Okay, now let's go ahead and run this program and see what it gives us. Say I got 96. It says A, you got distinction, because we didn't introduce the new lines on all the lines, that's why. So it shows this one first, then it goes on to check the next condition. And okay, good. So now let's run it again and see. Say I got 97. It says A, you got distinction. Please, do you get the concept? We can even nest it further. Okay, we can get, yeah, we can nest it further and say that for everyone who got distinction, I'm interested in whether they got 100%, and 97%, and 98%, and for each of them, I'm going to give them an award. Okay, so that means that I have to still come and check within this block. This if that is 95, if the person got 95 and above, I want to check if the score is equal to 95, then I'm going to print you are awarded 2 bars of gold. What if it's not 95? Else, if score is equal to 96, then we are going to award you 4 bars. Let me just copy what's here. In fact, I have to let me copy all the lines so that I don't struggle. 4 bars. Let's change this to 4. Else, if else if score is equal to 96, okay, we can have print we award you 6 bars. Please, I hope you are getting the gist. I don't have to go on and type everything, okay? And even within this nested loops that we have, we can still go ahead and nest something here too and have another if statement checking something. So maybe it's not just the score, it's something else too. So pass another variable that last semester, what did you get? Then I'll now check, okay, for everyone who got a 95, check if last semester they got 95. If they got double their award. Okay, so we can have those kind of nested conditions. All right, just pay attention to how you implement. The first thing you need to know is what is your first condition that you want to be met. Once the first condition is met, now let's go ahead. What other condition needs to be met? Then use the if statement. And note that it's not just if. We can do the nesting for any kind of either conditional statement or loop. Let's go ahead and type 97. Say you got an A, you got a distinction. Oh, we didn't write for 97. I should have changed this one to 97. So, okay, let me quickly do that and finish it up. This is 98. Your number of bars got to 8. Then we move on to 99. You got 10 bars. Then a person who got 100. So 100, we can leave it as an else because now it's only 100 to be gotten. Then we give, no, let's multiply by 2, give the person 20 bars. Okay, so now let's run our program and say 97 again and see. It says A, you got a distinction and you are awarded 6 bars of gold. So that is the outcome of what we have done here. Okay, and as I said, you can also have other multiple conditional statements, loops being nested in here. Any questions? Hopefully with this, you should be able to do the assignments and do it well. Any questions with the conditional statement? So today we've been able to cover the conditional statement. Yes.
Good.
All right. Today we've been able to cover the conditional statement, and it's unfortunate time is not on our side. And I keep saying, let me reiterate to the point that we don't need to be in a hurry for anything. As for the ALX work, because it's time bound and there's deadline, I always say that just try and finish as soon as you can. Don't spend days, hours on the ALX task. Okay, as soon as you can, try and finish it. Then spend the rest of the time understanding, getting a good understanding of all the things that you wrote in that task. Then you can spend the time to learn other things as well, get to interact with people. All right, but don't be in a haste to jump to the next thing. So, okay, I've heard about while loop, I've heard about for loop, let me just go and no. Now you understand how to implement if statements, how to implement switch statements. Practice with them. Try your hands on several programs. What program? Ask yourself, what program can I write with an if statement? What program can okay, so I can write a program that does this. Then you just try and implement it. Okay, it doesn't have to be a program that is in a book or anywhere. Just write your program, document it. Why you intended to write that program. Push it to GitHub or blog about the program that you have written. Okay, and this is how we get better at coding. So hopefully in the next PLD session we'll discuss the loops. I think on the group we'll discuss when to meet and discuss loops, the for loop, the while loop, and the do while loop. Okay, once we have this understanding with these ones, I think the loop should be easier. Let me just give you a gist about the loop. The loop is that it's just these conditional statements, okay, conditions, but you want it to be repeated. You want something to be repeated. All right. So keep doing the thing. So this decision that you are going to take, keep doing it. Keep taking the same decision for a number of times until a particular condition is met. So that is all that the loop is about. The loop is giving your program the ability to continuously do something instead of always waiting for feedback from you before they execute the condition that you have given them. You rather want them to continuously do something for as long as a particular condition is met. That is all. So now we understand how to implement conditional statements. The only thing we need to do is how do we keep our computer, how do you make our computer to keep implementing something for as long as those conditions that we are talking about are being met. Okay, so let me pause here for your questions. If you have any questions, go ahead and download this one. If you have any questions, let's AOB. We are in the AOB session. AOB. One, two, 3, 4, 5. So I want to assume that. Yes,
my question,
yes. No.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, my question is this. You just spoke about the loop, using a loop statement. Can you give us, can you cite examples of a loop scenario where we can use such statement?
Okay. So let's say this same thing that we have done, your grading score, the grading system that you have created, we can incorporate a loop in it. You realize that there are points where somebody may enter a float, somebody may enter a negative number, and your system is not accepting those ones. Okay, so we can pass a loop that checks whether the number that is entered is really an integer. For as long as you do not enter an integer, I'm not going to execute this code. The other one too, you can make it check for integers. So for as long as you keep adding integers, I'm going to be executing your code. The moment you add something which is not an integer or which is a negative value, I'm going to stop running the program. Okay, so that's the concept. The moment when we start taking them one by one, we'll see how each of them can be implemented. That's why I don't want to mention a specific type of loop to talk about it. But the concept is that you are interested in something, it should be done for as long as something is going on. Like, so for instance, let's say the age of someone, for as long as the person remains below 60 years, you should still be learning. So your program is saying that, hey, keep learning, and you keep increasing. Like, there is some form of iteration. So the program runs to the bottom, and there is something that increases it. So let's say the age, we are checking. Every year I'm going to print, or every year I'm going to give you money. That is my program that I've written. My program says that every year I'm going to give you money, but I'm going to give you money up to when you are 60 years. After 60 years, I'll cease giving you money. So I can write a loop that is going to check, are you 20 years now? Oh, sorry. Are you 60 years now? If not, I'll give you money. Are you 60 years now? If not, I'll give you money. But the moment I check and I give you money, I wait till 1 year has come. So the following year, I'll come back and ask you, are you 60 years? If not, I'll give you money. So assuming I started giving you money at 30, it means that first I'll come. Are you 60 years now? No, you are 30. I'll give you money. Next year, I'll come. Are you 60 years now? You're just 31. I'll give you. So I'll do this 30 times. After 30 years, when I come back and I ask you, you are now 60 years. Okay, no money. Go away. Then I can break out of the loop. So that is the concept of looping. Boss, I hope it's clear.
Yeah. Very clear. Very well.
Okay, sure. All right, so please let's not forget the assignments. try and finish it as soon as possible. This week, we are going to learn a lot of things, and please, let's try and help each other. If you are here and you are not on the WhatsApp group, there is a WhatsApp group. That's where we have more of the discussions. The Telegram group is for PLD sessions, okay, and probably for sharing resources as well. So try and join the WhatsApp group. Then if you have any questions, you can always ask the questions. Usually, what I personally don't like is when I get a lot of questions in my inbox. The fact is that like I have a lot of search groups, not ALX groups alone, but I have a lot of search groups where I teach. So if people start sending the questions to my DM, I have a lot of DMs and it becomes difficult. I can't follow. You realize that you send me a question and I'm not able to respond. But if you send the concern or whatever it is into the group, there are other members in the group. We are all learning. I keep saying that me, I'm a student. Even before I come and teach, I have to sit down and learn some things before I'm able to teach. Okay. C is not a language that I know. I'm learning it from scratch, just as you are also learning it from scratch. Okay, so let's do all to put the questions, the concern, like even the things that you have learned. You just learned something, you think it's interesting, your colleagues needs to know. Just come and post it in the group. Okay, guys, I learned about this, blah, 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 blah. I need you to know about it. Then we all learn from you. I can't spend time to go and read all the books. You also can't do the same. You may be reading book A, I may be reading book B. Okay, you may be watching video A, I may be watching video B. And all these people give different information. So what you learn, you share with me. I pick it up. What I learn, I share with you. You also pick it up. That is the fastest way we can learn and accumulate a lot of knowledge. Okay, so let's do that very much. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see ourselves the next time we meet. Thank you and bye-bye. Bye. Bye.
All right, bye. Take care. Bye.